So happy together, so happy together.
Hi, Joshua.
Hasan, oh my God. Okay, so you've no idea how much this interview means to me. I've been looking forward to this. The Patriot Act is incredible, and it was a show that I would watch with my dad. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I was trying to bring families together through politics. I don't know if I was successful at doing that, but that's what I was trying to
It
do.
worked because it made him laugh, and it also like taught him things about like, I don't know, Supreme. The morning show took over the world last year. Were there any signs that made you think, I could see myself in this show if they were to make a season 2?
Oh, that's really interesting. I was a fan of season 1. I didn't know if they ever had room for a young, ethnic, charismatic, charming brown guy. And then in season 2, Mimi and Carrie were like, it is time. There is a character named Eric Namani, and I came in and I auditioned during my sister's wedding, true story, and they cast me in the show. And it was really, really fun to shoot it during the pandemic.
To get ready for season 2, fans either rewatch season 1 or they go onto YouTube and watch a recap. What has been the process for you as an actor? Do you go back to scripts from before, or do you do it like us?
I've discovered for myself, if I over prepare, I become stilted. So even with the lines when I go in, I don't fully memorize them so that I can re-say them and stutter through them in a way that makes them feel a little bit more immediate. And in particular, when I'm with Jen and the scenes between the two of us, we tend to do some improvising and some extemporaneous stuff to keep it fresh. So I'm much more of an in the moment person as opposed to a deep preparation person.
This season, we had very different storylines. So it would kind of be like I'd be working in the morning and Jen would be working in the afternoon. But whenever we saw each other, we'd have a coffee or
yes, or we just have a squeal and just be like, "How are you doing? And what's going on in your world?" And I'd be over here with this, and she was over here in her storyline, and we had a lot of amazing time together, but it wasn't as much as we wanted to. And also just because of this protocol we were given, everybody was kind of assigned to a certain pod of people. But we also have, we've known each other for so many years, and we respect each other's work that we have done over the years, and so the fact that we get to do this together feels very natural, and also we feel so grateful.
Alex, I need you to come back. You are the only thing that can save us.
I don't think I've ever said that before.
I want to get your reaction to this YouTube comment from the trailer of season 2 of The Morning Show.
Yes.
Cherry Trap says, I just finished the first season. I thought this would be something I would just put in the background around the house, but holy Christ, this show is so good. This is some Game of Thrones shit.
I love the voice that you decided to give Cherry. First of all, you are feeling Cherry. Like you're like embodying Cherry in this moment. So that's my first reaction to that. Second reaction, Game of Thrones as a comp is some high level praise, because while there aren't actual murders, there's some emotional and spiritual murders going on there with particularly between Chip and Alex, just the way she treats him, just like crushing souls and spirits all day long. So yeah, the fact that people in the heyday of television, when there's murder everywhere and all these exciting shows, they chose to come to a show that was more about people and relationships. That's pretty cool.
I would even draw parallels with Creep and The Morning Show. I don't know if I want to do that.
Oh man, you and I could do our own separate. We can go an hour long on that one.
Notre Dame burned down, Australia burned down, the Amazon.
Stop. Let's give the people some hope. Let's give me some hope. Did anything good happen?
The U.S. won the Women's World Cup.
Jesus, 2019 sucks.
I want to pick your brain on calling in over calling out. Season 2 encourages a shift from cancel culture to conversations on rehabilitation, education, and reform through second chances.
It's a very bold and daring choice for the morning show writers and producers to try to navigate. And I think they do it extraordinarily well. I think we have had that Me Too reckoning, but what we haven't been able to do in society is take a good look at what happens when individuals are, thrown out of society and what happens to them. The baby gets literally thrown out with the bathwater. And so I think it's an interesting conversation. I think our audience may have a lot of feelings about what it's like to be drawn into a sympathetic, emotional landscape with, let's say, Mia Jordan, a woman who, kind of gets what she deserves. She was involved with a predator. But actually, at the beginning of season 2, she ends up being the executive producer of the morning show, and what does that look like, and how does our audience feel about it?
I think in our culture, there's never been a time of more change. So, and a more unforgivable time to live in. I think we all are just humans trying to figure it out. We're all capable of terrible things, and we're all capable of great things, and none of us are just the one horrible thing we ever did. So I think the show really beautifully addresses cancel culture, and that there's a human cost to exiling people or condemning them for one thing they did in their lives, because no one is perfect.
I think it's a poetic metaphor how the weatherman now in season 2 has to wrestle with the rapid winds of ethical dilemmas, where now saying sorry is not enough. Educating yourself is one thing, now you got to prove it. How has your character arc in season 2 deepened your relationship with the word sorry?
Listen, that's a fantastic question. And you're absolutely right. It means that and an ending, sort of a moving of goalposts, that it'll never be enough, certainly for some individuals. I love what the writers did with that, because they highlighted the culture we're living in now, this cancel culture. Once you go down that path of apologizing ad nauseum, or beginning that apology tour, I don't know when that ends, and I don't know that you ever do come back in the same way, depending on what you may or may not have said or done, for that matter. But I love that the show has called into question the power that we've given people on social media to destroy other people.
Because I do think journalism has shifted so much even in the past 5 years.
Yes.
With the emergence of social media and misinformation and politicized news.
Right.
It's very hard, I think, for audiences to find the truth. We're all searching for the truth. There used to be one sort of universal accepted truth.
Right.
Now there's 1,000 different ways. I really see it with my children. They get their news in different places than I do. And I think that is, it just is what it is. It's life. News is not centralized anymore.
And kids are the generational gaps is interesting too, because the kids are so black and white. It's like, no, that is wrong. It's like, well, wait a minute. There's definitely as the generations go up, and then there's the Holland Taylor character who's just like, I've been around this world and blah, blah. I mean, she's like seen it all and done it all, and then you get to the like, no, that is just not. So there's all of these different generations that are being explored on our show, and which is fascinating.
There's this line in the first episode of season 2 that hit me pretty hard. A character says, "You have not done your greatest work." What does that quote mean to you? You have not done your greatest work.
Oh, wow. I think when I hear that quote, and I think everybody hears it differently, is, have you emptied the tank? And I think one of the things that I feel when I'm working is you don't have to be the best, you have to do your best. And when someone says you haven't done your greatest work, I'm saying, hey, is that according to a subjective standard of great work that people arbitrarily set? Or is it an objective standard that you can kind of hold with yourself of, am I doing my best work? Am I putting my best foot forward? Am I doing everything that I can to do great, meaningful work in this moment, in this scene, in this interview, right here, right now? That's what that quote means to me. And I always have to ask myself that question every set, every time I'm on stage, every time I'm in a scene. Hey, am I doing my best work?
Well, Daniel has a lot of pent-up animosity towards Alex, and I don't know how you keep a straight face in those scenes, because if I was you, I'd just be like, I'm just kidding, you're Jennifer Aniston, I absolutely love you. Because that would be me. I don't know how you do it.
I will say there's one scene where I have to talk to Jen, and I had a lot of fun doing it, but I had to like really like give it to her. And when I walked away, I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, damn, I just like sucker punch Jennifer Aniston.
Yes, that's how I felt when I watched that scene. Okay, finally, when was the last time you went rogue, broke the rules, went against the man, the machine, the establishment?
That's a really good question. I would say that the biggest move I think I made was that I grew up as an independent filmmaker, and the goal was always make independent films until you can get to Hollywood, and so people will give you money to make your movies, right? So I did that, and I got to Hollywood in about 2010, 2011, and I made 2 studio movies as a director, and I hated it. I didn't like using other people's money. I didn't like them telling me what to do. And around that time, I started making money as an actor on shows like The League and doing things like Creep, and now obviously doing things like The Morning Show. And I realized I could take the money I was making as an actor and just become my own studio and make my own stuff. So I basically quit Hollywood filmmaking completely, went back to my old way of making things as an independent filmmaker, and I haven't been happier since.
I'm a theater artist in Los Angeles, and I do share some similarities with Daniel. And I felt like there were some outlets that were doing some grievances to people of color, and so you can go to my social media, and I did the call out, right? I did the call out because I felt like it was necessary at that point in time. So I will say that I've done it a few times in my life.
Any time in 2020, I think the moment that I went rogue was when I decided to come back to the morning show and explore my acting as activism, to link arms with people from different backgrounds who were interested in telling a bigger and better story about what it means to find common ground. And let me say, it was no easy task in the middle of a pandemic with all of the social unrest and the protests and Black Lives Matter and how we showed up for each other, both as allies and as advocates. It was no easy thing to do. And yet, we sit here and we talk about how proud we are of the work we did and the season we had here on AppleTV. So I'm interested to see how our audience's experience is reflected in the work that we did and whether or not it resonates with them.
When was the last time I broke the rules and I went against the man, the machine, the establishment? So when I was on set, season 2 of The Morning Show, I was in the makeup and hair department. They had a hair product that I really, really liked. And I asked them, can I borrow it? And they said, sure. And I didn't borrow it, I just stole it. And I want to let Apple know I'm sorry, but I do have really bad cowlicks, and hopefully you guys can afford replacing it. I'm rooting for you. I don't know if you have the budget to do that, but I did steal hair product from the hair and makeup department. But there's nothing you can do about it because season 2 is wrapped.
Kiss 92, all the great songs in one place.